And joining me now is property expert Luke Doonan. Now, Luke, we're going to take calls on all sorts of problems to do with buying, selling and renting houses today. What kind of issues can you help people with?
Literally anything to do with the current property market. I do think there's a massive amount of panic out there. That's the press have just really gone to town on this, and I think it's blown everything out of proportion. There are areas of London which are still growing. There are areas which are falling. So it's not just...
What about nationwide?
Nationwide, I think... Well, London will, I think, always be OK because of supply and demand. There's areas in other cities which are OK. The main cities, I think, the northern cities, new builds are really badly affected. But it's quite an individual thing. It depends on what your property is, the location, you know, what type of...
We want to take calls from people who want to buy, who want to sell, thinking about renting out their place. Should they buy now or should they stay out the property market for another year or two?
Exactly.
All those kind of things you can give advice on.
Any questions at all.
Fantastic. Well, 0207 173 5555 is the number to ring for Luke's expert advice. Got lots of calls already, so let's go straight to the phones. Yasmin is on the line. Hi, Yasmin.
Yeah.
Hello, what's your situation, Yasmin?
Me and my partner bought a property a year ago, and we were kind of lucky at the time to get a 100% mortgage, probably one of the last. So we own a one-bedroom property in London, and we've got 4 years left on our fixed-rate mortgage, but we're really, really worried because it's a 100% mortgage. We have to obviously make a profit to be able to buy somewhere else, and we just don't know whether to just sell now where we know we'll get our money back because it's still, our property's still worth what we bought it for, or wait the 4 years. You know, I don't want to sort of just freak out and, you know, but we just really don't know what to do.
Luke.
I think the best thing is definitely don't panic. Do you need to sell at the moment, apart from...
We don't need to sell at all, but we're just really worried that in a couple of years' time we're going to be at a complete loss. And obviously,
so the question is the market going to continue to drop, or is it going to...
Depends on the area. Whereabouts is your property?
It's in South East London, Crystal Palace, which we have got the tube coming in 2 years, so that's why we bought here, hoping that that would obviously make a difference. Yeah,
I mean, my advice is don't panic. I would probably hold off, and I would wait if you don't need to sell at the moment, to be honest. I think this is probably only going to last another 12, 18 months, so I'd be inclined to hold on, definitely.
For those people in Yasmin's situation who live in other parts of the country, who, you know, live anywhere from the north to Wales, Scotland, or... Would it be the same advice? If you don't have to sell now, don't. If you don't have to sell,
don't sell, hold on, and the most important thing, don't panic, because, as I said before, the press are really going to town on this, and if you don't need to sell, don't sell. The moving costs today are so expensive with stamp duty and all the moving costs. I would stay put. I don't think the UK is going to, you know, crash completely. I think it's going to get better, but very slowly.
OK. Amy, who's next?
Okie dokes, we've got Barbara. She's on line 2.
Hello, Barbara.
Good morning.
What's your situation, Barbara?
I've had quite a bad experience in the last year with my property taking crashes of 150,000 from the previous price, and I've had 3 buyers. One particularly went to exchange and then walked away.
Before exchange.
I've now got 3 sessions of solicitor's fees with 3 different buyers that took me that far, and I have another buyer which I really don't know whether to go ahead or say, you know, stay put.
Barbara, I'll just say, I've been trying to sell my house for a year. Very similar story. I think there are a lot of us out there. We've got the same thing. What does Barbara do now? You know, does she get a new estate agent? Does she accept whatever offer she's given?
That was going to be my first question. Barbara, do you have a good agent, or do you...
Very, very good.
OK,
brilliant.
and what have they said to you? Because it's quite strange that you've got 3 after the same property, and I think what they're probably...
They're all trying to get it as cheap as they can because it's in a desirable road on a half an acre.
Right.
And I'm a senior citizen, and I just feel that the general public out there are just saying, well, we'll take her for a ride.
Yeah, that seems very unfair. If I were you, apart from me wanting to come look after you, I would probably speak to the agent. I'd set a minimum price that you will accept for the property, and then you just won't enter into any other negotiation whatsoever.
And if I waited, you feel that it would be better to, like, hang on.
Do you need to move now, Barbara?
Well, the garden's got too much for me, you see, which is why I needed to go. It's a situation where you'd like to take your home with you and leave the garden behind.
Yeah, I understand.
Having said that, I don't want to feel that I'm being...
Should she just get a gardener for a year?
Get a gardener, a nice old boy that you can make a cup of tea and a biscuit for. Get him to do the garden, and I would hold off, but definitely set yourself a figure and don't move from that figure. There are lots and lots of opportunists at the moment, and I hate the thought of you being bullied into it. So I would hold off, possibly get another agent on board as well.
Is gazandering really happening?
It is, yeah.
And what do you do if you get 2 weeks, say, before you're meant to complete, and somebody suddenly says, I want to take 50, 70,
well,
100
people are actually,
you say no?
People are doing it on the day of exchange, which is really cheeky. So it happened to a friend of mine last week, £50,000 under the asking price. I think you've just got to hold your nerve, and if you really believe your property's worth that amount...
the thing is, nobody knows what anything's worth at the moment. That's what's
no,
so
but you can get a good rough idea. If you've got a good property in a good location, I would, you know, it's not all doom and gloom out there, so I would stick as long as you feel it's a reasonable price.
OK, let's fit another call in. Amy?
Yep, let's go to Sheila. She's on line 3.
Hello, Sheila.
Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Hello, Sheila. What's your story?
Well, we're looking to emigrate next summer. We've had our house on the market for nearly 3 months now. We've had no viewings at all. We're not sure whether to leave it on the market and see what happens between now and next summer and risk the price coming down, or sell to one of these companies that offer to buy your house cash. We have had an offer for $55,000 under the asking price.
55,000 under?
Yeah.
OK.
At all costs, I would definitely avoid companies like that, to be honest, because they really just rip you off, unless you're really...
But she's had no viewings at all.
Well, there must be either something wrong with the house or the price is not right. Whereabouts is your property?
We're in Halifax. I mean, from what I understand and what the agents have said, we are on a popular street.
Yeah.
But hang on a second, I've had no viewings on my house for the last 3 months. The market is just really flat, isn't it?
It is flat, but I think the most important thing, the first thing is to get yourself a good agent who can get excited about the property. The trouble is, if you leave your property on the market for too long, it's really, you're just going to, as you were saying earlier, it stagnates, you get bored with it, and there's no excitement about it. So I would take it off. When do you need to be gone by, as it were?
We really want to go sort of next August, September time.
OK, so you've kind of got a year. Yeah. I would be inclined to probably take it off for 3 months and then put it back on at the start of next year.
Just think you'd have 3 months, we didn't have to keep it tidy, Sheila. Wouldn't that be a fantastic holiday? Thanks for the call, Sheila. Very quickly, I want to talk about, I mentioned it, how to get into one of these Gordon Brown schemes for part ownership deals. How do you
Well,
get
I'm not a fan
those?
of Gordon Brown because he promised, he stood there and
We
said...
haven't got time to talk about
okay,
whether you like Gordon
I won't
Brown
get
or
political,
not.
fine. OK. He hasn't done much for most people.
These shared ownership schemes, how do you qualify
There
for
are
one?
2,000 private shared ownership schemes. Lots of developers, lots of big developers, small developers. The only really clear way to do it is to speak to your local council, and they will send you a list of all the developers that are doing it in your area. There's social housing, there's shared ownership, and part-by-part rent.
Good time to do it now? Will you get a good deal?
Yes,
or should you go and wait?
I think you would. And a little trick is if you go to the developer, look up their company on Company's House and find out when their end of financial year is, and they're more likely to do a deal at the end of their financial year, which is always a
very
good
good tip.
Got some good bargains that way.
Yeah, thank you very much, Luke. So, not quite as bad out there. We should stop panicking.
Stop panicking, hold off if you don't need to sell, and just be calm about everything. And don't read the press, don't read the newspapers.
Well, fantastic. I write for them, but anyway, thank you very much, Luke.
Okay.
Well.